What's up, LinkedIn community? This is Adam Conrad, founder and CXO of Great Recruiters, and I am joined here today with our guest, Aaron Opalewski, CEO of Spark Talent, who founded his company in 2013. They are a Great Recruiters certified staffing firm. Check this out. They have a 4.75 rating with over successful business, really centered around growing those people. But great having you on board today, Aaron. What we're going to talk about is how Aaron has really about core values, why they matter, how you hire for core values, how Spark is approaching their talent acquisition for internal talent, how they're growing that talent, and how they're ensuring they're creating great experiences for their candidates and clients. But Aaron, thanks so much for joining me. Why don't you take a little mystery about who you are and tell everybody about yourself and Spark Talent Acquisition.
Well, Adam, first, thank you for having me on. It's been great to talk to you. You know, we've been a partner of you guys for a couple of years now, and you and I have got to talk a few times, but a little more intimately in the last week and a half or so. And I've enjoyed the conversation. Grateful that you're having us on, and just an extremely happy customer of Great Recruiters. And I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit, but thank you, for having us on. So
yeah, my pleasure, man.
Yeah. So a little bit about me. I'm from the Rochester, Michigan area. Grew up in Michigan in Saginaw, and then moved down to the Metro Detroit area in like junior high. Been here ever since, and found my way into staffing. While I was still in college. So.
Well, that's good. Well, hey, I'll tell you what. Everybody that I talk to, unless their parents owned a staffing firm, nobody grew up thinking to themselves, hey, I want to be in the staffing industry. So tell me a little bit, how did you get into the staffing world?
It's funny. We were talking about it, and my first exposure to staffing, and I didn't even realize that's what it was, but I was applying for accounting internships, got an interview, had no experience, got an interview, and then didn't get the job, but I never got a response. I called this recruiter probably 20 times. I didn't even know they were a recruiter, but they kept kind of stringing me along. And I just remember being frustrated about that. So I didn't even know that's what was going on. But fast forward, that's when I was 19. Fast forward to when I was 22, and I was personal training. And I was doing some training sessions with the director at Aerotech. And got to know that person well. And little did I know they were recruiting me to come into the staffing industry. So I knew I didn't want to stay in training forever. I was going to school for finance, and he gave me an opportunity. He said, hey, do you want to come in and interview? And I didn't know what staffing was, but from talking to him, he was in business. He was successful. It appeared to be a lot of the things that I was looking for out of life. And so I came in, checked it out, didn't even know exactly what it was other than that I could do well and make a career. And, I decided to interview, got a job offer, and got into recruiting shortly after that. So that was my kind of like initial push into staffing, and started out in the engineering world in staffing and knew nothing about engineering, and thought that was a mistake, but so much when you're a brand new recruiter day one, right? I'm like, oh, I should be a finance recruiter because I have 2 years of college finance courses. Like, well,
right.
Really, I was scared to learn engineering at the moment, but what a blessing that became to have to learn that and be kind of pushed into that, because it really opened up a whole new world of confidence and just belief in myself. I'm like, man, if I can figure this out and then actually be good at it, like it makes you feel like you can do anything. So, which is one of the things that just really attracted me to recruiting overall. I'm like, this is awesome. I loved it like early on.
It's good. And I want you to talk a little bit about like when you started Spark and kind of what your vision is for the future. As we talked about a little bit, I'm excited about it because it's almost like what you went through through your own growth is how you founded this company. So tell us a little bit about Spark, kind of what you guys are all about, and kind of what's the vision for the future for you guys.
Sure. Well, we were founded in 2013, at the end of 2013, And, I had another company before that was mainly focused out of Michigan in industrial staffing. And that was a great experience as well. But I really wanted to have a national company. That's what the focus was, and wanted to do industrial staffing, but other types of staffing too. I wanted to be doing engineering, which were my initial roots. And, so that is really the genesis of where Spark started. And, I looked at where it was at, and we were 4.5 years in, and we hadn't promoted anybody yet. And it's just not how I wanted to have, like, I'm big on legacy, right? So I didn't want that to be what the company was, and nothing wrong with that. It was a solid company, but we just hadn't promoted anybody yet. So when we started Spark, it was with the intention that what we do, the purpose of the company, was to help people grow. And that's in everyone that we place, like put people in better opportunities and give them the chance to put themselves in a better position and grow. And definitely internally too. We want to give the people the opportunity to be promoted, take on more responsibility, and to have a place where they could build a career. And over the years, we definitely poured some gasoline on that in a good way, and really the visions got bigger. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited about that. But that was kind of the origin, that like, man, like, this is what we want to do. And, our first recruiter that I ever hired, we've been working together for 11 years now, almost 12 years now. Fletcher, he's now our VP of sales, but he came over to start Spark, Talent with me. And, just one of my best friends. He's been extremely loyal to what we're doing. And I mean, he's gone from, starting working with me in a Panera at $10 an hour to, he's our VP of sales. He's equity partners and 2 of our other businesses with me, and one of my best friends. So, and
that's awesome.
Like, that's what we do. That's our purpose right there.
That is great. You said something, it's a term we use. So I built Great Recruiters, right? And we'll get into core values. I've been big on core values. I grew up with an organization focused on core values, but also pillars of success. And when we built this, we wanted to build a platform that was simple and meaningful, that gave you peace of mind. And you just said it, we wanted to help you build that legacy. So I love that you're thinking with that. Like, what do you want to leave behind is awesome. So, hey, let's jump in a little bit.
Sure.
Let's talk about core values,
Yep.
why they matter, and talk to us a little bit about what Spark's core values are.
Sure. So we have 9, and I won't take the whole time reciting them all for you here today,
Yeah.
but like, to kind of sum it up for us, and what I personally believe is the right way to apply core values is, hey, like that, you don't just throw them on a wall and they sit there. No, this is how we hire, fire, promote, demote, anything coaching related, anything to like teach the culture, right? Because someone like, oh, I'm looking for a culture fit. Well, like, okay, you can find someone that has characteristics of your culture, someone that might embody some of your core values, but there's still some like teaching and coaching into like what that means, for people. They don't just walk in like perfect on that, right? You have to teach them that, right? So any kind of teaching moment, like, I want to try and apply a core value to that, right? Like, and that's the goal. Like, hey, if we can make that an active part of people's day, then they're going to see, one, that we mean it. They're going to understand them faster. And then like the pinnacle is get them to start making decisions based off that, so that we can move with more speed.
Yep. Got a little shout out, power team. I love it.
Oh, hi, Janet. Janet's awesome.
So help me understand a little bit through that hiring process. And we'll get into how you attract talent and everything, but through that hiring process, how do you use core values as part of your interview process, as kind of your decision-making process? Where do they fit into the whole kind of talent acquisition strategy that you guys have?
For us, we do, I ask the same 3 questions to everyone. A couple of our other VPs will be involved in the interview process, and they're screening for core value. Not so much as someone perfect on these things, right? Kind of like I was saying, but characteristics that we're looking for. They usually lead us to say like, hey, is this person going to fit within this culture from what we can see in this early interview stage? or are they not? Right. So we start with characteristics. There's really four that we look for. We're looking for if people are people smart, are they hungry, are they coachable, and are they adaptable? You know, and the hungry one is a big one for most of our roles, but most importantly would be coachable, right? Are they open to learning? You know, do they want to learn? You know, one of our core values is be humble, crave improvement. You know, by being humble, we don't want people to be a pushover. We want you to be confident. We want you to be, you know, assertive and believe in yourself, but at the same time, understand that we can all always get better. There's always more to learn. Hey, if it's a new area for you and you got a bunch of other people that are doing it at a higher level, like, you know, you could, hey, can that person listen? Do they want to learn? Are they hungry to learn? Like those are the types of things that we're looking for. If we can leave the interview process and say, hey, these people have these four characteristics, and we're going to do some other things like references and, you know, things like that. But if we can get through that, then we're at a good launching pad to then teach them the rest of our culture and bring them into that and make them a part of it.
When you have such established core values and you're living it and you're breathing it, and they're like, I love what you said, they can't just be words on a wall somewhere. When it comes to that tough decision, because let's face it, I mean, in every industry, some people just aren't a fit. You find that out. How much easier is it for you as a leadership team, as management, to make those tough decisions to transition somebody out when you have those core values kind of defined?
I think it's never fun, right? And that does happen, you know, from time to time. You know, my goal of that is to be, you know, to be, I don't want to say, you want to be direct, but like a lot of our coaching conversations, pretty much all of them should happen in private. And then like, we're not just going to bring someone in and give up on them. You know, if we brought them in, like, look, there should be no surprises if we get to that point. Like, we're talking multiple coaching conversations, multiple things, to the point where we've exhausted our options on finding the right place in our organization, you know, for someone, or that we've given everyone the tools to kind of like adapt, right? That's why that's a important characteristic. And, you know, hey, if we get through 6, 8 of those combos and it's, you know, over a period of time and it's not panning out, then maybe recruiting isn't for that person. So maybe we replace them somewhere else. And the reality is recruiting's not for everyone, as I know, you know, you know, but I also think it can be for more people if people are fostered through the process the right way. And then I like to, you know, I'm impartial to our setup where we have different kinds of niche roles for different people that kind of hit them at maybe different points of life, or just maybe let them leverage their unique skills, you know, in different ways than what, you know, when you and I started recruiting, it was more like, hey, there's 2 or 3 options for that, and you're either good at this or you're out.
Look, when I started, man, the training was this. You know, my origin story is it was a great recruiter, because they turned a reference call into an interview, into a opportunity, and I knew nothing about staffing. And my training was this: I got put in a conference room. You talked engineering. They sat me down with a job order for a PLC, Allen Bradley PLC controls engineer, and a stack of resumes. And they're like, hey, call these people and see if they're interested. Yeah. And I'm like, who am I at 22, whatever it was, to make a determination as I'm talking to grown adults? Like, I have no idea. I had no background, no nothing. That was my first hour. And I ended up leaving that firm a couple years later, and I was disenchanted with the industry. I'm like, this isn't right. I'm not providing any value. It just feels like I'm just fighting to fill orders. You know, what's in it for me? And luckily, I got picked up with a company, Brightwing, here in Troy. So I love that you're here local with me as well. Yeah. But they were big on core values, and I saw that growth. And I went from a recruiter into management, into operations, and was running the organization prior to starting Great Recruiters for the most part. Yeah. But man, you know, I was looking at reading ASA article, and you know, when you talk about training and development, I feel like this is a good time to talk about this. Is 80% of people mentioned in their survey that they would consider employers' training offerings as important when accepting a job. And I think when it comes to recruitment, there's a lot of companies out there that don't think career path. Yeah. They think recruiter is tissue paper, right? You use them until they're done, and then you just get another one. And that's where you see that 2-year burnout.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that growth and development, what are you going to do? And what's crazy is only 39% of people said that there's any training and development to help them improve their current skills or to, or to grow new skills, which great transition. And I know we talked a little bit about it in the prep, but like, how do you use that to attract internal talent? Talk a little bit about your process, because I love what you guys are doing from a talent acquisition to training development. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. And, on one hand, it's like, man, that's an unfortunate thing to hear about the industry because it's just not the way it should be. On the other hand, it's like, man, what a great opportunity for us, selfishly, because that is not our approach at all. Like the development of our people is everything. And right. So it is, it's so important. And you can say that, but, there's actions and there's words and actions, right? And I'm a big proponent of saying, I like to have a conversation with people's actions, not their words. And so, this is one of my, main functions in the company right now is, I run 3 different trainings. I run a training weekly with our account managers. And this is outside of like my leadership meetings and all that stuff, but I run a training with our account managers weekly from all of our companies. I run a training with what we call our future leaders, and Ryan, partners with me on that, but we're in tandem on that, where we're building a pipeline of our future business leaders, directors, and maybe even operators of some of our other organizations. And then also have a senior executive kind of like roundtable thing that we do within our organizations, where I'll work with our CEO of Spark Packaging and our senior executives at Talent. So, and that's just what I'm doing. We have other ones. So our VP of recruiting runs one for recruiting. We have sales development in training, and it's definitely look, we're trying to improve it every single week, every quarter. We're looking at this and talking about it frequently because we could do better. But we're fully invested on, bringing people in and developing them, because we promote everyone from within. So what are we going to do? Kind of sit back and let that organically happen and have people fall off and then people stay. And, we're not going to be able to hit our growth targets that we want to make. So we're fully invested in doing everything we can to help our people develop. And as we're moving in this new building, Ryan and I were just talking yesterday, the next thing we're doing is beefing up some of our internal, we have our website, but then we're going to have an internal one, and it's all about spreading our content for training and development to make it easier to access and for people to repeat watch, right? Because that's what we're on here, right? I know you're on a lot of podcasts and stuff. Like sometimes when you hear a good one, you need to listen to it multiple times, right? And so we're big now on recording that content and having it there where people can go back and listen to it again.
That's awesome. And talk to me a little bit about from a talent acquisition. I mean, one of the biggest things we hear out there, I was on a couple different panels about this, is, attracting and retaining, training your recruiter, your internal staff. So, some of the people, they're like, we can't invest in training. We need people that can hit the ground running. We need a higher experience. And they think this magic book of business comes along with them. It hasn't worked out in my experience. But do you hire for experience, or do you hire green and grow?
Every single person within our organization started as a recruiter or at the front desk. And some have gone from recruiting to operations, right? But the front desk has been kind of like a feeder into other roles for us. And then everyone that's higher up within the organization started as a recruiter. We have a mantra that we're all recruiters. And that's what makes us not for everyone, because if I interview someone we have two people that came from outside the organization that weren't homegrown. But each of them I worked with at Aerotech over a decade ago, and they started as recruiters as well. So we've all started as recruiters, which I think is special because anyone that we interview, we've gone through the hurdles that they're going to go through, and we have people that can develop them at that have done it, start 20 years ago, and people that are, maybe just promoted into a higher level role. So we have so many ways for people to learn and stuff like that. But if I was interviewing someone for a sale, in recruiting, and they're like, oh, I'm just a salesperson, I know they're not going to be a fit. And I'll talk to them more, but I know that doesn't fit because the reason why they don't fit for us is because all our salespeople have to have done recruiting. They need to be open to getting on a spot. Some may do it way more than others, depending on their role. But for us to understand our clients' needs and create a good experience with that, we want you to have been in that recruiting chair before, or be willing to step in if that's what it takes, because that's how we think the job is done best. And there's other ways to do it, and there's other ways that I've seen work, and that's cool. This is just our approach and what works well for us. Yep. And so with that being said, we bring in everyone organically. If we're going to bring someone in with experience, we'll put them in a role where they still have to do some full desk recruiting on their own stuff. They might do a light amount, but they're still going to do it. If they're not open to doing that, then we're probably just not the best, fit for them.
Right. And where do you, a hot topic, I don't want you to share any of your secret sauce or anything, but as much as you're willing to share, where are you having success finding talent for your organization, right? I mean, there's one, getting them through the process, but you got to get them in the door and get them interested. How do you approach that?
Well, I think the big thing for us since COVID is we've redesigned our operational structure. And, since COVID, we've launched 2 additional niche companies. So we have Spark Talent, Spark Packaging, and John Joseph Partners. Spark Packaging is niche specifically to the packaging industry. So that's all that they help. Spark Talent works with 11 different industries still. And we have different niches inside of talent where people have kind of their specialties. John Joseph Partners is a executive search firm. And so that is the niche, right? And then we have an ops team that works for all the organizations, which is huge for us. So we have this going on where we have okay, we've been able to bring some people in that are heavy on the entrepreneurial side. They want to move down that path, but key component, they're also willing to pick up the phone and recruit a spot. They're humble, they crave improvement. One of our core values, they're hungry, to grow, but no one's above doing something like that, right? So we've been able to bring some people in an organization that were open to doing, what some may view as entry-level work. I think it's core function to what we do. We're recruiting. So you're always going to be you should always be able to touch that. And then we've been able to put them into some of those roles. And we have that, I think I mentioned the 6 human needs, but we have great operational roles where we could have someone come in and it's pretty hey, here's the structure. You get your 90-day review, you get bonuses, you can get, comp raises. There's a career path here, but it's not really that entrepreneurial. It's pretty normal. Well, then all our sales jobs and recruiting jobs are very entrepreneurial. You make as much as you want. There's career paths. They can run business units, all this stuff. That's great. We've launched a stock program, which is great for people, which kind of takes it to this entrepreneurial thing. And it's hey, as the company grows, everyone that's here is going to win too if you contribute. Right. And that's not just for recruiters or salespeople. If we hit all our targets, even our operational people get it. And I don't know of any other recruiting company that does that.
That's great.
So it was hard to pull off. It took 3 years, but we got it figured out. And then it's okay, we got all these things. Well, we also have this scenario where, man, if someone's in staffing right now and they're good in staffing, they've got this little itch to maybe do it themselves, but they want some support and all that. Well, that's what we're building with these other companies. Come build one of these other companies with us. We have 3 right now. We're going to have 10. We need 17 more operators is what I was telling you. We got, I'm operating Spark Talent day to day, but really it's our executive leadership team that just crushes it. They're amazing and do a great job. We have operators, CEO and a VP that run packaging. And right now we're looking for our operators for that executive search team. And look, we plan to build a lot of these internally, but as we interview people, we get to talk about all these different levels of opportunities and really meet someone with what they want.
Man, talk about, hey, you're going to be a recruiter all day, or hey, here's the career path. And oh, by the way, here's, 7, 8, 10, 15 examples of people who have grown. That's awesome. Hey, transition here just a little bit, so you have all these great people. How do you ensure, everyone says they're going to do it, right? You can't be on the phone with everybody. How do you ensure you're creating great experiences for your candidates and clients? Like, how do you ensure that? And I love what you said. Words are empty. Actions and behaviors are everything. What somebody says doesn't mean anything. I'll call you back. Well, did you? Right. Yeah. So how do you ensure that quality experience across the organization?
I think there's different ways to do it. This is something that I struggled with as we were growing, like on how to do this at scale. And, one of my coaches, Andy Frisilla, who runs a $1 billion nutrition supplements company, he is obsessively talks about like candidate or like customer experience, right? And for us, what does that look like? It's candidate and client experience. And, something we really scratched our head on with, but we started working with you guys, about 2 years ago. And here's what I love about working with you guys. It's great to hear about all those reviews. I didn't realize we had that many. I really got to give props to the team on that. It's just, that just makes me feel really good today. It makes my day to hear that.
1,700 data points of people you've worked with that shared what that experience is. And you guys are doing great, but I think where you're alluding is it's not always great.
Yeah. Well, and that's so here's what we're able to do with this. One, we can teach core value stuff within this, because as we get examples and reviews that come in, sure, we could post that on social, we could put it on our website, and we may do those things, right? But we can also show internally, we can give people recognition and then be teaching other people. Like if you want someone to repeat, other people to repeat a behavior, we'll give a person recognition when they do it well and scream it to the rooftops, and then explain why it fits one of your core values or why it was so important. And so it's really given us this tool at scale to be able to acknowledge our team members, to show examples of core values, to show great examples of client and candidate experience. And it's also allowed us an opportunity to get ahead or solve problems when they come up, because not every review's been great. And frankly, I probably know way more about some of the bad ones and have been on the phone, myself, because look, no one likes that, but a lot of the time, if you can take a bad experience or what starts as a bad experience and talk to that person and listen to them and figure out how to fix it, that can go a long way. And we're definitely not perfect. I'm sure we'll have, another mistake that we make and it'll get pointed out in a review. And as much as I don't love seeing that initially, I'm so grateful that we have a tool to expose that, because what if we didn't know? How do we fix it? How do we fix it? And this gives us the ability to do that. Come back to the team member in some instances in private. When it's the other way, we do it different. We don't scream it from the rooftops. We might talk to them in private and say, hey, we saw this come through. We're supportive of you. Here's some things that we think would help. Or, hey, here's what we're going to go do to fix this for this person, or maybe what we already did. So different types of scenarios there. But yeah, that one, when we're coaching from a negative view, we won't scream that one to the rooftops. We'll pull the person in private.
Right. But, well, that goes in. We're doing a webinar on we're just teaching how to get reviews. Part of it is you got to be asking. You got to ask everybody. You can't just cherry pick the people you had success with, because you're missing the real story. And so it's collecting it at the meaningful moments, right? It's, as you said, it's taking action on it, whether acknowledging the person internally, letting the team know they did a good job, using that as an example, or on the flip side, addressing the issue. You know, if it is something that came up, how you address it with the individual, but also getting on the phone, knowing there was a bad experience, knowing that's not what you want as the business owner for your business, and being able to talk to that candidate and resolve those. And I think in those situations, they're kind of surprised to hear from somebody, and you're able to build trust with that because you asked, they told, and you responded. And a lot of times it's a misunderstanding. And then being able to measure it, right? Being able to see where those behaviors exist. I think that's what's great, is being able to measure down to the individual. You can't be on every phone call. Being able to have that and then promoting it. And I was just reading here, review from 3 hours ago, right? This is the kind of stuff. Jessica is kind, friendly, and professional. I was nervous about this process. She put me at ease. After speaking for a while, she knew exactly what role I'd be a good for. I highly recommend it. Like, that's amazing. You have somebody that was nervous and your recruiter is putting them at ease, and you have that information, give the kudos. So props to you guys. How else do you see measuring and managing that experience? Like, how else are you using that feedback that you're getting from a growth perspective?
Well, you know, anytime we're seeing patterns in feedback, right, whether it be good or bad, we can, you know, I'm a big systems guy, and continuing to like, this is an area that I'm trying to continue to get even better at, right, as we're scaling, as focus on building out good systems and look for things that are broken within processes. Well, this is a great tool to use it for that. And when you see patterns, say, okay, like from a process standpoint, is there anything we need to do different to create a different outcome more consistently? You know, hey, is there something that's working really well that we could create a process around to make that like the normal experience? So it gives us the opportunity to do that as well. And that's where our leadership team comes in, where they're looking at that stuff. And, you know, in you know, at least one of our monthly meetings, we have the opportunity to look through these stats, and it's not every time, but we're able to look for patterns. And if we see one, we can have conversations like that to make process improvements or changes. And that's just something that is newer for us. Like we kind of different, but like there's so much going on within any business, but within a recruiting business, it would be easy not to do that. Well, It's nice when you have a vehicle in place to help kind of organize data, you know, for you. And Ryan's done a great job of this with you guys and in other areas of the business, where we're able to see data and we can make decisions based off of actual data, not just how we feel because someone didn't show up for a job this morning or something like that.
Right. Yeah. It's telling the real story, right? I mean, we can make up our own stories in our mind, how we're doing, but unless you're really asking everybody, you really don't have a pulse on how your business is really being perceived and the reputation that you're building in that marketplace. Aaron, we could talk for another hour, I'm sure, man. This has been awesome. We're getting close to the time. And so just wanted to recap a few things that I think you said that are great. You know, start the hiring process with growth in mind. I mean, that's it. Show the career path, show the opportunity. You're going to attract so many great people, but you got to know your core values. And I love what you said. You're people smart, right? You got to be a people person. We used to be people is what we'd say. Hungry, coachable, and adaptable, man. I just think you've done a great job of like centering in those four things. Other takeaway is multiple coaching conversations, right? You hired the person, make good decisions, help them learn and grow, and actions over words. I think that's key. And you have to have a way, and I'm glad we're able to support you in that, to be able to measure those actions, measure where the behavior exists. But what are your key takeaways, key summaries that you like to recap, Aaron?
I think you summed it up well. You know, for me, like, you know, if there's recruiters out there that are looking to make a shift or anything like that, like, hey, there's plenty of good recruiting companies. I don't know much about Brightwing, but I've heard good things through you and a couple other people. But there's plenty of good recruiting companies out there. But if you're looking to get into recruiting or join a recruiting company or make a change, and they talk about being growth oriented, to tie it into those actions, like, hey, what is that company doing? What does their development look like? What do their career paths look like? Do they have equity opportunities? Do they have, stock opportunities? Do they have, like, for us, those are the actions that we've put in place to say we are here to help people grow. And it's not just something we put on a wall. No, here's the things, here's the 8, 9, 10 things that you can get here that we don't believe you can get anywhere else.
It's awesome. Well, Aaron, once again, man, I'm just so much gratitude for you. We love working with you. I love what you're doing with the business. Obviously, anyone hearing that's looking for opportunities for growth, Spark may be a good fit for you. Yeah. And if you're interested in learning more about how we're helping companies like Spark and other staffing firms in the industry, we're hearing the same kind of message. So really appreciate you sharing that. And other than that, have a great day. Enjoy Wednesday, LinkedIn community. And once again, thank you, Aaron, for joining.
Thank you, Adam, for having me on and for being a great partner to us. Really appreciate you.
Awesome. Have a great day, everyone.